Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here today, as always, with you, because I just love bringing so many different guests from so many different spectrums of life, but hopefully uplifting, hopefully helpful in many ways. But we started all off with a beautiful, sultry singer by the name of Lindsey. Her latest album, which is called To Brazil with Love, made it all the way to be, nominated for the Grammys last year. Just a couple of, a month ago, whenever the Grammys were on. She did not win the Grammy, but she got all the way there. And let me tell you, this album is absolutely gorgeous. It is Brazilian-tinged jazz, bossa nova, world soul. It is so beautiful. Once you turn it on, you're never going to want it off. You're going to want it to be the backdrop of every part of your life. It's a wonderful an ode to the country of Brazil, where her husband is from, even though she is American. And we're going to hear her story and her music coming up in just a little bit. We also have the great people from PETA, who are helping so much to stop those awful experiments on animals. And H&R Block is here to give us some tax tips and so much more. Good news stories with Jim Cleefield. It's all here on a jam-packed show.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith.
So many nights I've cried. Guess you can't have flowers when the roots are dried. Sometimes I'm terrified. There's no one to hold me and say that it's alright. Allergy, this much I know, 'cause I have a heart to do it on my own. I already have to want to know more. Have a loneliness deep in my soul. 'Cause
Well, I don't know about you, but I've just been transported to the place that I grew up in my childhood, Brazil. And boy, does this music I can't even tell you what it does to my mind, my heart, my soul, my spirit. It's everything that makes me feel joy. And the most beautiful singer who is responsible for bringing me that joy right now is Lindsey. And oh, my goodness. Thank you for being here. Bem-vindo.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a great honor. And I love Brazil. To Brazil with Love.
To Brazil with Love. This is the name of the album that was up for a Grammy in 2024. Just to make it that far, this is your debut album, is it not?
No, I have a couple other albums, but this is the first album that it was more of a collaboration, and I decided, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna dedicate this to Brazil. We spend so much time there, and all the musicians and all the songwriters and just the vibes. So I wanted to make an album about that.
You're right, because you're so touched. Anybody that is ever exposed to that music or goes to Brazil, it's something so unique and so different. The first time I moved there, I was 6 years old, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. But we went to a seaside town right around Christmas time, so it was very hot. And I remember sitting under a thatched roof having dinner with my mom and dad and my sister, and this music was playing inside that little restaurant. And it was bossa nova, which is the beautiful Brazilian, so unique, the music, and it shaped my entire childhood. I remember thinking at 6 years old, which is very odd, oh my goodness, I'm in a very special place. I was so transported by it. And so you picked that up also, having somebody very special to you who is Brazilian.
My husband's Brazilian. He's Baiano. So it's, we go to Salvador, Bahia, we go to Rio. But Bahia is a special place. The food, the culture, the music. I just feel like Brazil it is magical. I do feel it has that element of you don't feel that anywhere else. At least I don't.
No, you don't. But your voice is so reminiscent of the beautiful bossa nova singers of Brazil that I grew up with. Your voice, I know you're American, but when I first heard your album, I wasn't quite sure because you're singing some of the songs in Portuguese and your Portuguese is beautiful and perfect, really. So I thought, I wonder if she's Brazilian, but not so. You're in LA right now, correct?
Yes, I'm in LA right now. But I really, I started to learn I speak Spanish fluently. And to me, those languages are kind of similar in my brain. But I started to learn a lot of Brazilian music and, of course, dating my boyfriend at the time, but now my husband, I was able to practice and practice and practice. And, very particular about getting it right. And I want to make sure on this album, I wanted to make sure that I do it justice and that I'm really particular about my pronunciation and that I fluently speak it. And I just love it. It feels good coming off my tongue. It feels good when I sing in Portuguese. It just feels different than when I sing in English,
Yes, it reminds me actually, and some people say this, Brazilian Portuguese, because there's continental Portuguese, which is Portugal in Europe. It sounds very different than the Portuguese of Brazil, which some people say reminds them of French in the sense that it's so romantic.
Yes, right. It is very reminiscent. I think in some of the words like jantar, like they have some, zhuzhes in there, and it's very interesting, especially in Rio.
Yes.
There's that vibe. So
very much so. But okay. So when I said debut song, I think what I was thinking was, when your album was, being conjured up for the Grammys for a potential best global album, I was thinking it for that reason. So, but this was, you entered it into a more of an international category at the Grammys.
Yes, and we did that, being the producer, we did that purposely because it's not, people assume, oh, okay, it's an R&B album or something like that, and it doesn't sound like that, and it has, we recorded in Rio de Janeiro, all the musicians are Brazilian, the producer is Brazilian, we did it there with that vibe, the songwriters, I co-wrote all the songs except the two covers on the album. So it's just everything Brazilian. I just said, let's just immerse it and do this album right and make sure that it stands the test of time. And so far, so good.
So far, so good. Let me tell you, so far, so good that you made it on to Access Hollywood. Let's hear what Mario Lopez had to say about your beautiful new album, To Brazil with Love. Candace Lindsey, here's what he had to say.
Still love that song. Young Lion is out now, and the compilation album drops on November 22nd. And if you love the smooth and soulful sounds of Sade, check out Candace Lindsey. This rising star is giving Sade with a Brazilian twist. Her first single is called My Brasil. Check it out. Okay, definitely Sade vibes right there. This is her debut album. It's up for a Grammy this year for Best Global Music Album. Candace says one of her artist inspirations growing up was Sade. She recorded the album in Rio and says it's a love letter to Brazil. Candace has performed with Mark Anthony, Jennifer Lopez on their tours. She's also licensed her music for TV shows like the hit Pretty Little Liars. Her album, To Brazil with Love, is out now.
See, so you're already getting a lot of attention for this beautiful album. Mario was impressed, and he's Latin as well. So it's nice that he probably really took a shine to it. And they're sort of like it said in there, they're comparing you a little bit to Sade, which happens to be my favorite. And, kind of romantic singers of all time. And have you ever met her by any chance?
I have never met her. I met Stuart Matthewman a long time ago, when the producer. But no, I've never met her. But when Mario said, Sade with a Brazilian twist, I was like, yeah, I'm the artist, so I think of it in different ways and different genres and different vibes. But that was a pretty good description of, you can play this in the house, you can play this on the beach, you can play this. It's just good vibes. It's good, romantic, sexy, full of love vibes.
Absolutely, 100%. And it just makes you feel good no matter what. I'd like to play a little bit of one of your songs that you said you wrote all of the music except for the 2 covers that you did. And they are 2 very well-known Brazilian songs, but there's a bit of a story behind one of them. Tell us all about that one. Amanhã do Carnaval?
Yeah, Manhã do Carnaval is, I initially heard this song from the movie Orfeu Negro, or Black Orpheus. It was a classic Brazilian film. I think it was up for an Oscar, won an Oscar back in 1960 or something like that. I heard this song in the movie, when I watched the movie, and I was like, oh my God, this song, it's beautiful, it's melancholy, a lot of minor chords that I like, and I just fell in love with it. Fast forward, 15, 20 years later, we're in Brazil, we're in Rio, and a friend of mine was like, oh, you need to meet this guy, Roberto Menescal. He's incredible. He's produced so many Brazilian artists, and he's known as one of the architects of Bossa Nova. We met, had a coffee, and to see what we can get going together. And in talking, we landed on, come to find out, he played the original guitar on the movie in 1960. It's him playing on the song Amanhã do Carnaval. So we thought, oh, this is going to be perfect. So then we ended up recording that. And
that must have been quite a thing to feel like, here I am with one of the constructors of the Bossa Nova, which was birthed back in the 60s. And how much must that have felt to be with him? He must still be a genius and still playing on your album in his 80s. Yeah,
he still does shows. He's still out there. He's incredible. He's just, he's doing it. He's not, doesn't seem like he's stopping anytime soon. And he was one of the original people that came for the Bossa Nova concert at Carnegie Hall. Then I think they had an anniversary of that, I think last year, the year before last, again at Carnegie Hall. No, he's on and going. He's definitely, it was a pleasure. It was an honor.
An honor, sure. Well, let's take just a little bit of a listen to Amanhã do Carnaval, which is with this giant in Bossa Nova, and of course, Candace Lindsey. Here we go.
Canta o meu coração, alegria voltou. Tão feliz amanhã desse amor. Canta o meu coração, alegria voltou. Tão feliz amanhã desse amor. Já vai ver já vai ver, já vai ver.
Incredible. I mean, I thrive on this music. I can't tell you what this means to me, but it means a lot to me that you are bringing it to a new audience, a fresh audience, an American and a global audience. You're bringing the attention of Brazilian bossa nova and this type of music. I'm so happy because when Sergio Mendes died last year, I did a little tribute on my morning show to him because I remember being a little girl and getting that album, Brazil 66. And oh my goodness. And my dream was just to be one of those backup singers to Sergio Mendes. I thought if I could ever do that in my life, that would be it. And, but it just hearing his name and everything, he did. That music affected music all over the world. It became quite a genre that was very, very popular. And you bringing it back, but making it sound fresh. Obviously, you're young, you're beautiful, you're new, and in the sense that you're taking an old style of music and you're making it brand new and young again. And I love that you're doing that.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's funny with Sergio Mendes, I think 3 or 4 of the band members also played on my album. This album.
Oh, wow.
So, Yeah, yeah. I love his music. The musicians are incredible. Yeah, everything Brazil.
Everything Brazil. So, and obviously that's the album that we're talking about right now, To Brazil with Love, which is your the one that you had really running in for the Grammys. And that to me is as much as winning a Grammy, because to make it that far in with your music is really making it all the way to me. So I think that's incredible. What are you working on now? Anything else? Or are you just still trying to get this album out and about?
Well, two things. So still getting this album out and about. Like you said, the Mario Lopez did a feature on me on the Access Hollywood. They've also been playing it a lot on this KCRW here in LA on a show called Morning Becomes Eclectic. It's also playing in the UK on Giles Peterson's Worldwide FM, his radio station. He breaks a lot of artists, and with a mix of vibes, you know what I mean? Like it has an international vibe to it. He breaks it over there in the UK, and then it spreads over Europe. Also, when I was in Brazil, I did a new single came out January 16th from this group called Baiana System. Mm-hmm. Out of Salvador, but it's with me, another rapper named Emicida, which is a really big rapper from Sao Paulo, and an artist named Melly. And that single is spinning a lot in Brazil now. It's called Alage.
Alage. Okay.
That's different than my album because it's heavily more rap and Brazilian vibes. So my thing is just, collaborating with several different Brazilian artists, several different genres, kind of connecting that there is a connection between, Afro-Brazilian, Afro-American, diaspora. It's a vibe. It's a thing. And
yes,
the music is cross-cultural. People, everybody has their own little take. My album is just my take of the feel of Brazil.
Yes, and samba music, of course, in Brazil, which is their signature national music, samba, is Afrocentric as well. It's much faster. It's all with the bateria, with the beats of. So, that's very typical also for Brazil. So I can see where this is lending itself to even Brazilian rap, which that's because I left a long time ago. There was no rap in the world when I left Brazil in 1980s. It's just terrific. So, what other sites do you have your eyes on right now? Are you working on any other new projects as well as collaborating on your new album?
Well, looking on doing like touring coming up in the summer, doing jazz festivals, New York Summer Stage, like working on a lot of different things. That's why I plan to really promote the album, get people to dance and hear the album and appreciate the album. So we'll be doing a lot of touring, and then after that little bit, I'll start working on the new album. I have a couple collaborations with other Brazilian artists that'll be coming up as well the next month or so to go back over to Brazil and record with them. So just keeping it fresh and moving and
beautiful, because your music is totally beautiful. You grew up singing. Was it a lot of R&B and or what were all the genres that you sang?
Well, it's interesting because I have different albums. As an artist, we grow, we change, we have different likes. So my first album was more of like a neo soul type of album. It was still kind of jazzy. It was very still Sade-ish. Erykah Badu-ish, Jill Scott-ish. Mm-hmm. Initially the very first album, self-entitled album. Then I did like some house, dance, electronic stuff with some producers in Italy and Europe. So I did that, I had a stint of kind of like a acoustic soul album. It's called Acoustic Fire. It sounds more like an acoustic, like a Seal, Lenny Kravitz vibe.
Yes.
And then coming around to moving into the single called Crazy Fire, which was like the precursor. That was like a couple of years back, like the precursor to moving fully into doing like Brazilian soul. I call it Brazilian world soul or Brazilian soul music.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Brazilian world soul. It's got it all in there. So yes, R&B was probably not the right genre that I picked, but there's so many expressions of this great. You remind me also a little bit of Layla Hathaway. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is one of my all-time favorites.
Her voice is it's just incredible. She gives chills when she sings.
She does. And you remind me of her very much so. So, yes, there's just, boy, the sky's the limit, what you'll be able to do, the places you'll go. I love how international you've made yourself available, too, because, oh, my goodness, your life is going to be so rich. You're going to be collaborating with so many interesting, fascinating people from all different countries. I'm imagining. Yeah, I just think that's wonderful. Well, if we can get you to a jazz festival here near us in Indiana, or if on one of my trips out to New York, I can see you at Summer Stage or something, I definitely will. We want to go out on another one of your very beautiful songs. Candace Lindsey here singing from her album To Brazil with Love. This one, also tell us what's behind Meu Brasil.
Okay, so Meu Brasil, I think that is the first song that I wrote for the album with a friend of mine. And it just talks about Meu Brasil. It's like a play on words. Like, I love Brazil. That's my interpretation of Brazil, from living in Brazil and being there, and the food and the culture and the people. Meu Brasil is my interpretation of Brazil. And then also my husband's Brazilian. So it was a play on words. I sing about how I long for him and I miss him. But I'm also singing about my husband because we were long distance for a long time. He was in New York. I was in LA. We were flying back and forth. So it's just a play on words of my heart is Brazil. My husband is my heart, and the actual place. So that's what it's about. I talk about the orishas. I talk about the water cleansing your soul, the music cleansing your soul, all those things. So,
well, I'm telling you, listening to your album, that's what it feels like. You're getting a cleansing of your soul, an opening of your heart. And you'll put it on, and it's going to be your go-to album for the backdrop to your weekends and everywhere you go. Candace Lindsey is her name. It's Candace with a K, so easy to find her. And she is exquisitely beautiful. And the album art on the album, To Brazil with Love, is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, as are you. I loved it. Was that by a Brazilian artist or something?
Yeah, it was from an artist from Salvador that did the album cover. And I was really looking for something authentic because they were like, everybody's like, you should do this photo shoot and glam and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I want to have it just feel how Bahia feels to me, how Brazil feels to me. Just the vibe. And so that's how we came upon the album cover.
I have art from Bahia and Brazil all over my house, and so do my parents as well. So as soon as I saw that, I said, oh, that is gorgeous. That's absolutely perfect. Candace Lindsey, thank you so much. Congratulations on the success of your beautiful album, To Brazil with Love. We're going to go out on the song, the very first one that you wrote on it, Meu Brasil, which means my Brazil. And thank you again for being here and gracing us. Lots of love. God bless.
Thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Yesterday, wind in my face, worship the sweet sunshine to pass the time away. You took my breath away, fire in my heart. You feel of lifetimes past. Why were we apart? Come along and move your hips with me. Come along.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
Well, this number absolutely causes me so much grief to think about it, but more than 110 million animals are killed in U.S. laboratories every year with little or no consequence in a positive way for humans and the advancement of science. It's absolutely crushing to think about it. But Dr. Emily Trunnell is here. She is the Director of Science Advancement and Outreach for PETA, for the ethical treatment of animals. I am so grateful to hear that this is really being focused on. Doctor, thank you for joining me today. And what can you tell us about the advancements that are happening to make sure that one day there is going to be an end to all of this?
Thank you so much, Lauren. And yeah, I'm so glad to be here to talk about this. And a lot of people don't know that number that you mentioned, 110 million animals killed in U.S. laboratories every year. People think that animal testing has largely been done away with, but unfortunately it hasn't. But there are, great, innovative, cutting-edge methods now that can replace the use of animals in experiments. These are things, techniques and technologies that use human cells, even cells from patients who have the diseases we're interested in, advanced computer modeling, genomics, artificial intelligence. All of these techniques provide more translatable results to humans than experiments on animals do.
Oh, it's incredible. But I feel like finally, in the last couple of years, there's finally somebody, you, PETA, and maybe White Coat Waste is another group I know that does it too. Everybody is trying to get this it's so archaic to me that they use animals to try to do things for humans. And it's shown over many, many decades that it doesn't work. And yet you wondered whether the technology was going to come in or some advancements that would allow for it to be taken away from the animals. Now, is it being funneled to animals because they receive money for that? I mean, what is the incentive to do experiments this way that have not yielded positive results for so many years?
It is money. That's they always say follow the money, and that's true for animal testing too. I mean, doing animal testing in these days when we have, iPhones is like, still using a rotary phone. This is stuff that's been around for many years, and we have technologies that can replace it now. So there's powers at play, when animal experiments continue to get funded by the NIH, scientists are going to do them. And it's going to take an effort to really shift those priorities, to move the carrot so that people are incentivized and pushed to use these newer methods. And that's why we've released our new strategy, Research Modernization Now. It will end these failed experiments on animals and transition to cutting-edge human relevant science.
Is there anything that's happening within the government that will actually have it all stop en masse in the same day type of thing, or is it going to take years and years to get legislation changed and the money to be redirected? What do you think?
It absolutely could happen today. Our plan doesn't involve, a 10-year strategy or a 20-year strategy. There's a huge interest right now with the administration to cut waste and make the government more efficient. And this is the very common sense place to start. It's with experiments on animals. So the steps that we've outlined in Research Modernization Now could be enacted today, and it would have a huge impact on, it would be a win-win-win. It would save animals, it would help humans by delivering better science, and it would cut waste and improve efficiency.
You've been in this for so long, probably, and can you foresee that they will eventually start doing this, or that it might happen soon within even this administration?
I do. We are really at a turning point right now. A lot of people who work to end animal testing are talking about this. We have these technologies. The scientific community and legislators, the public are much more supportive of them. No one wants to see animals being used in experiments. You see those videos online and, a lot of people want to scroll past them or just not know. But we have an awareness now. We have the technologies. We have all of the evidence that the use of animals isn't helping humans. For example, the public is sold a message that we have to test on animals, otherwise drugs won't be safe or effective for humans. But that's not true. The reality is 95% of the time, those drugs that went through animal testing still fail in humans. 90% of this curiosity-driven research that's done at universities never results in anything beneficial for humans. And up to 89% of the time, it can't even be reproduced from one laboratory to another. So, we really are at a turning point right now.
Oh, my goodness. And well, thank goodness for PETA. And I'm just wondering, what can we do, anyone listening to this today that really wants to expedite these experiments to stopping and for the government to take a whole different tack and direction on it? Is there anything we can do? Is it donation based? Is it awareness based? What else can we do?
Absolutely. So with our Research Modernization Now strategy, we have a website. It's PETA.org/RMN. That's PETA.org/RMN for Research Modernization Now. And there's a simple form on there. You can go on the website and fill out the form to ask your members of Congress to enact this strategy. You can read the full report and all the scientific evidence, or you can look at the summaries and, share that, contact your members of Congress. And of course, we are so grateful to anyone who is able to support our work.
Wonderful stuff. Research Modernization Now is the research is happening, but you can go to PETA.org/RMN. Thank you so much, Dr. Emily Trunnell, Director of Science Advancement and Outreach for PETA. You're doing God's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Oh, yes, it's that time again. And boy, does it seem like the time flies by when we're not thinking about taxes and then getting our taxes prepared and learning about new things. Well, it is that time. And so I have someone here who is an expert in the latest tax changes for 2025 that you may love to know about. She's with the H&R Block company that we've had on many times before on the program. And Kimberly Butler, is a local tax expert, and she's here to help you with all different things. And where would you like to start for 2025, Kimberly? I know that there's always some little changes that we need to be aware about.
Yeah, some of them that hit a lot of important people are the child tax credit. There's been rumors about that being increased, and it did increase this year. It's up to $1,700 per child. We had questions about that even during the summer. So that's what the newest thing is with the child tax credit.
Okay, well, that's good to know. It sounds like a good number. And how about what's new for tax legislation?
It's so many rumors going around, so we can't really answer anything specific at this time because until it goes into law, it's just kind of rumors at this time. So right now, we're just dealing with what was already passed over from 24 and anything that has specifically changed. But the little rumors that are going on right now, we can't really deal with them because they're not actually laws yet.
Okay, well, that's good enough for that. And deductions in tax credit that help increase the size of your refund. We're always looking for ways to maximize this. What are some of the big ones, the obvious ones, and then also ones we may not be that sure of?
Some of the ones that are commonly missed are the child tax credit, earned income credit. Like I said, the child tax credit has increased $1,700 per child. The other credits are the electronic vehicle credits. So if you purchased a new or used clean electrical vehicle and chose to transfer that credit to the dealer, you can file a tax return and report that transfer on a form 8936, and that gets you a credit too. So a lot of people are moving towards electric cars now.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I know that you're available in the Illinois area. Can people just call you up and say, I like hearing Kimberly when she's on in Chicago? Where can I get in touch with her? Are you available for that, or do you just point people to their local H&R Block company that's closest to them?
Kind of both. They can go to their local because we are all over the place at the moment. But I'm specifically in about 3 different spots right now. My main office is in the Beverly area, 96th and Western, and I can give you that phone number for anyone who's interested. That number is 773-233-4472, and I also work out of Marionette Park as well as the Scottsdale area.
Wow. Thank you so much. Kimberly Butler, your local tax expert at H&R Block, and always here to help us navigate as we get into what is known as tax season. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you, Laura. You have a great day.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Well, from small towns to large cities, no family is immune from a rare disease. 1 in 10 Americans, more than half of whom are children, are living with a rare disease, yet many of their physical and emotional struggles are invisible to the public. Joining us to discuss this and the importance of Rare Disease Day is Chief Executive Officer of the National Organization for Rare Disorders. Pamela Gavin, thank you so much for joining us on the way home today.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
So there is a Rare Disease Day that's happening on Friday, the 28th. This is something that is new to me, but I guess I'm sort of in good company. A lot of people aren't aware of this, and so therefore you can tell us all about it. Americans live with rare diseases, but there's a lot more than maybe meets the eye that we know about, correct?
Yes, the word rare can be a misnomer. People think they hear rare and they say, well, this is going to affect a small population of people, a small group of people. But in reality, there are 10,000 rare diseases that exist affecting 30 million people in the United States. So that's 1 in 10. That's much more prevalent when you look at the group as a whole than people realize.
Absolutely. And so the actual day itself that is being marked for that Rare Disease Day, what exactly will happen that will help for people to understand more about this?
So Rare Disease Day is planned for the last day of the month, and every 4 years, that's leap year. So that's the rarest day. And for people who participate, this is a global international awareness campaign, and NORD sponsors the U.S. Site for it, and we work with other charities around the globe. So people who participate are really in very good company. There will be millions of people engaging in awareness-related activities to shine a light on the community at large, the size and the scope of the community, as well as the challenges that people face and the opportunities that we have to do something about those challenges and the benefits that can come from all of us. So Rare Disease Day is really meant to address those goals.
You personally lost a loved one to a rare disease, so you really understand what that's like and what the burdens are of caring for a loved one that has a rare disease. Just from your personal perspective, has it become much more prevalent and important in your eyes because you saw firsthand what this is like? Can you give us a little insight into what that was like?
Yes, my brother's first son was born with a rare condition. So he was a child with a condition that was fatal. He was finally diagnosed correctly at the age of 2 after missing many milestones and being misdiagnosed. And then he passed away at the age of 9 because there weren't any treatments for his condition. The challenges are immense. And they vary if you are an adult with a rare condition versus a child with a rare condition. If a child has a rare condition, often the parents are, struggling for both to be working. So there are physical, mental, financial burdens that people deal with. And people feel very isolated. But there is an opportunity to connect them with one another, to build their support network, to tap into available resources, to find the right medical team, to consider, community advocacy. There's lots of things that people can do. They can participate in research. There's a lot that can be done to address isolation, to address this feeling of helplessness. And, NORD is here to help people and our, the organizations that are our membership to support people in the community struggling.
Bless your family. That is really something, but probably will end up helping many people around the world when you're affected like that and you're able to educate the public about it. There is something called the Living Rare study that's can happen. And this is going to help people also become more aware. Tell us about that study.
Well, NORD launched the Living Rare study just a couple of months ago to engage people living with rare conditions and their caregivers to share their experiences in a way that allows us to quantify them and along with the rigors of a study to complement the stories that you hear, but to really measure the impact of living with a rare condition, the burden of that over time, because it changes over time. And the study is not disease specific. There's been a lot of great work done honing in on a particular disease, but we want to understand the impact across rare diseases so that we could leverage that data that we, and the insights that we learn to push for better policies, to push for more research and targeted research to address treatments that are needed, and to improve upon our support systems that people need to live their best life in the meantime. And so we encourage people to go to NORD's website where they can sign up and participate in the study and really use their experiences to empower and inform future research and future policies that we need to address to improve people's lives.
There is a Show Your Stripes initiative, which has a zebra as its mascot. Tell us what that's all about and how that's going to help people as well.
The zebra is a mascot for rare diseases, and it came about because in medical school, doctors are taught when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras, or to consider more common diagnoses first. But with the statistics of 1 in 10, that is a challenging and actually dangerous mindset. And so we are, through the Show Your Stripes campaign and other student programs that NORD has, we are trying to change that mindset and raise the awareness that sometimes it's not a horse, it is a zebra. And the idea behind it is to help improve and accelerate proper diagnoses and inform maybe primary care physicians that they should reach out to specialists that may have expertise in that disease. So the Show Your Stripes campaign is a way for anyone to support rare diseases by wearing zebra stripes and taking a photo and sharing it on your social channels with the hashtag Show Your Stripes. You can do it all year long, but we especially have the community show up on Rare Disease Day with their zebras stripes on.
Pamela, thank you so much. What would be the best place to go to find more information so people can get involved and be informed?
Laura, I recommend that people go to NORD's website to start. It's rarediseases.org. From our site, there's lots of resources and available to them, depending upon their needs, interests, and passions. All the things we talked about today, the Rare Disease Day celebration, the Show Your Stripes campaign, the Living Rare study, and many others are there for them to learn about and join and participate in. They can also make a donation to NORD. No donation is too small if they want to support people living with rare diseases or donate to research. It's all through NORD's website, rarediseases.org.
Rarediseases.org. And NORD is the National Organization for Rare Disorders. Thank you so much, Pamela, Gavin. Thank you for all the work you're doing in the world for this. I really appreciate you educating all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to The Way Home. I'm Laura Smith.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Here's Laura.
Well, how about that? I think we covered the whole world in that show, but grateful to all my wonderful guests today and the beautiful music of Candace Lindsey. And now the beautiful golden pipes of Jim Cleefield giving us his best news stories that he found out into the world. and always with the golden pipe. So how you doing, Jim?
You're doing really well, actually. Our first story starts in a place you may be familiar with in your neck of the woods in Michiana, or at least close to it, Woodhaven, Michigan. You might have heard of that. This beautiful story. A lot of times we talked about on the show, two words that permeate these good news stories I've done: kindness, generosity. I think this really fits all that. A woman named Bridget Watson owns Cafe Suites in Woodhaven. And one day she got a visit from a gentleman who was a homeless Army vet. He's been really down on his luck. He really hasn't been doing very well. He hasn't been feeling well. His name is Don. He stopped by one day because he was looking for some cans and bottles for a little extra money because he also was hurting for income. He's just really having an awful time. And Bridget, I guess, was talking to this wonderful man, and she really felt so bad for him that she initially offered a job of him for him to work there. And unfortunately, he's physically unable to do it, so that didn't work. So Bridget decided to do something out of the goodness of her heart to make it better for him. You know what she did? She decided she put in a little money, a little donation to get a motel to stay. I don't know if it was just for one night or something like that, so he can be nice and warm. And then she did something. We talk about the power of social media on this show. Well, here's another example of that. She then went on her social to try to gin up some more support for him to see if they can maybe get some donations for him or something. Because, let's face it, he served our country, and thank you for your service. And so they wanted to do something, kind of return the favor, if you will, pay it forward. Well, believe it or not, once it got on social media, it just spread exponentially. The word just got around immediately. One person donated a winter coat to him, very nice. Then another one offered locally, a local person, $50 a month rent for an apartment. And if that wasn't enough, LJ, another person offered to pay his rent for the entire year, the rest of the year. And I'm thinking a lot of us would sign up for something like this, given the cost of living that we're experiencing today. Needless to say about that, but he was just so touched by this. He's just so grateful of that. And again, it just goes to show you that, this small act of kindness can not only just life-transforming, life-changing, and his life has changed, and for the better, because the fact, let's face it, he's a guy that doesn't really ask for much, is what we heard. He'd like a coffee or a Pepsi. That's it. He got way more than that. And I'm sure, he's just going to feel so much better knowing that people really do care about him. And because of this one act of kindness that Bridget did, he just really has a new lease on life.
Oh, it's so wonderful. My goodness. And yes, we can't do enough for our veterans ever. And that is such a beautiful story. And, people are so touched by our veterans. And I know everyone would go out of their way above and beyond to do anything they could to help. What an amazing thing that waitress did, or the owner of the restaurant. And now what an incredible thing to do for someone. Totally life-changing. Beautiful stuff there. Try to top that, Jimmy.
I will do the best I can. Well, actually, this one, I guess you can say this wonderful story was 35 years in the making. It actually all started with a prom date. I guess this is around, 1990, end of the 80s, I don't know. But Elena Hershey, and I don't know if she's related to the Hershey family or not, but she went to the prom with this gentleman, Dr. Sean Moyer, who is now at University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. They were at the same high school in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, a long, long time ago. He was a senior. She was a junior. He needed a date for the prom. He couldn't find anybody. Well, guess what? She ended up accepting. And you would think, oh, this must have been a wonderful night. They're probably going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, get married, have kids and all that. No, this was a one-off. They never saw each other again after that until decades later when Dr. Moyer was in need of something. Actually, he was in need of a kidney transplant. Actually had it happen twice before. His wife, Alyssa, was part of a matching donor program and was able to help him one time. I think he needed a kidney in his teens, and then 20 years later, and then recently had kidney failure in one of them. Unfortunately, Alyssa just cannot help him anymore. She's just physically unable to do it. She just cannot be a donor. Well, all of a sudden, a mutual friend of hers was able to donate altruistically. In this case, Elena is now in Colorado while he's in Pennsylvania. Elena decided, without even knowing about what happened with him, decided to donate a kidney altruistically. And it turns out that she found out through a mutual friend that Moyer needed a donation. Now, she was not an exact match or a perfect match, but it was compatible enough that she was able to donate that kidney and help give him that second chance at life. And she had gotten a text from the friend, I guess, from him, and she just burst into tears. She couldn't believe this man she hadn't seen in 35 years, and he's now given this new kidney, and needless to say, he should have many, many more years to go. But it just that little random act of kindness can all of a sudden turn into something much more, a life-saving thing like this, a donation for another kidney. And for Dr. Moyer, he certainly is grateful for her 35 years after all this happened.
That is incredible. People don't know at the time, what maybe they're doing or the people they meet or whose life they touch that then so many years later, something happens between them or they find each other again. That's an incredible story.
It is.
From proms to kidneys, I tell you.
Who knew? Yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know when these things are going to happen. You never know when you run into somebody from years later that you saw decades ago, like a recent friend of mine I knew from prep school, and all of a sudden I find out he lives in the same city I do, and now we see each other a lot. So, yeah, I mean, you never know.
We always seem to run in similar circles. It's the strangest thing.
Well, if you see it from a spiritual perspective, some people say that we are born into soul tribes. It's not necessarily bloodlines, but soul tribes. It's people who your souls recognize.
I can see that.
Yeah, and I love that description. I think it's lovely, and I really think it, because it goes deeper than just address or, like I said, bloodlines in a family or something like that. It's I just found out that my cousin is moving across the street from me, and it's like, and he's a dear guy. He's younger than me. He's my first cousin's son, but we have come back after so many years of never being in touch. He started listening to me on the radio all the time every morning, and then now, lo and behold, he's moving in across the street. So
serendipity, right?
I think. Yeah, it is. It is serendipity, but it's also, again, I think kind of like our souls kind of know these things, and we just somehow end up meeting up with people that we have something special with.
How do you like that?
All right. Well, thank you, guys. We're having too much fun. We digress and have so much fun doing so. For all of you listening, thank you so much for being part of our family here at The Way Home with Laura Smith, and Bob Small and Jim Cleefield. It goes on, and we're so grateful for you. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Podcasts by Federated Media.